The book discussion.
Imagine, if you will, a world where Hitler's name doesn't evoke this instant chill. A world where instead of, the horrors, his name brings to mind hushed reverence for his art. You walk into a museum and see his paintings, not as these grim reminders, but as testaments to beauty, to the human capacity for beauty, even in the face of darkness. That's the alternate reality we're diving into today.
And just to be clear right off the bat, we're not, trying to paint a prettier picture of a dictator here.
No, absolutely not. We're exploring this alternate timeline, this what if. This is a fictional reimagining. We're not, trying to revise history's grim facts.
Of course. But what's so fascinating about this kind of alternate history, this kind of what if, is that it forces us to confront, this really fundamental question. How much of our path is really set in stone, determined by circumstance? And how much is choice, free will and all that?
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. So Koschinski, he takes us back to Hitler's early life, and he dissects almost meticulously those moments where a different turn, a different choice could have led to a drastically different destiny. It's really something.
I'm intrigued. Keep going.
All right, so we're starting in late 19th century Austria, but forget the grand halls of Vienna for a moment, okay? Picture a small town, Braunau am Inn. That's where the story begins. Not with artistic aspirations, but amidst poverty and hardship.
And that's a point we can't just gloss over, right? Because it's crucial to acknowledge the potential psychological impacts of this kind of upbringing.
He's got this traumatic childhood, right? Siblings dying, a really harsh father.
Absolutely. These experiences, they leave their mark. They inevitably shape a person's worldview.
And for this Hitler, art and his mom were his escapes. It makes you think, right? Everyone has things they cling to when times get tough.
Absolutely. And the source we're looking at really digs into this idea of Hitler being, kind of broken early on. Did all that loss create this need for control later? The whole hurt people thing, but on a historical scale.
It's chilling when you think about it like that. And of course, it's a simplified version of a real person.
Of course, we have to remember that. But it lets us look at those hinge points where things could have gone very differently.
Absolutely. Amidst all that darkness, there's this one source of warmth. The book really highlights his mother, Clara. She's portrayed as this constant source of support, always encouraging his artistic interests, even amidst all the turmoil. Yeah, and there's this incredibly poignant scene where she tells him, Adolf, my clever and talented boy, you can do anything you want. You can practically feel her hope for him, battling against the harshness he faces everywhere else.
That kind of nurturing, that unwavering belief, it's a powerful force, especially for a child facing adversity. It can be the difference, honestly, between internalizing those challenges and finding the resilience to push through them.
And the book, it really makes you feel that, those competing forces within him, this pull towards art, fueled by his mother, but also the weight of his unstable, often harsh upbringing.
A push and pull between light and shadow. It's a tale as old as time, isn't it?
It really is. So imagine, if you will, young Hitler, armed with his mother's words and this burning desire for something more, setting his sights on Vienna, this city renowned for its vibrant art scene, but also a crucible that will test his resilience. Test it in ways he could never imagine. So we've set the stage, right? Vienna at the turn of the 20th century. This whirlwind of creativity, this intellectual ferment, you can practically feel it in the air, right?
And it's important to remember, I think this is still, before the name Hitler carries the weight of everything that came after. At this point, he's just another ambitious young man, trying to find his place, in a city absolutely brimming with talent.
And struggling. Let's be honest. The book, it doesn't sugarcoat his struggles. He's scavenging for art supplies, right? Constantly aware of what he lacks compared to his peers.
It's a side of him, I think, that's often overlooked. We focus on the monster he became. But this period reminds us of his very, very human struggles. The struggle for recognition, for belonging, even just the basic tools to pursue his craft.
And it all kind of culminates in that fateful application to the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts,
which, as we know, did not go well in reality. That rejection fueled his resentment, right? It became a turning point. A turning point towards extremism, really.
But in Koschinski's reimagining, this is where things get really, really interesting, because this time, instead of pushing him further down this dark path, that rejection becomes a catalyst for a different kind of transformation.
A different path altogether. It's almost like the universe is offering him a second chance, a chance to rewrite his story.
Exactly. What if instead of hardening him, it actually opened him up to the power of genuine support?
Because let's not forget, even in the midst of his struggles, there were people who believed in him, who saw his potential. And in this version of events, that belief becomes crucial.
Exactly. And one of those turning points is this friend, August Kubitschek, Hitler's friend from Linz. Now, they were close, but in real life, they drifted apart. But in this alternate world, Kubitschek, he's like Hitler's biggest fan, his artistic hype man. And in the book, he steps up in a big way. He becomes this anchor in Hitler's life, just when he needs it most.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
The impact a single person can have.
Totally. Imagine having that kind of unwavering support, even after dropping out of school, getting rejected by art school. In reality, Hitler was crushed by that rejection. But here, he's got Kubitschek in his corner.
Makes you wonder, how much did the real Hitler crave that kind of validation? The kind he unfortunately found in all the wrong places later on.
It's almost like this alternate timeline suggests that if he had found that acceptance, that purpose in art, maybe his ambition would have had a different outlet.
Instead of, well, sometimes the darkest moments, they bring the right people closer. And it seems like Kubitschek, he recognized that moment.
He even convinces Hitler's sister, Paula, to move to Vienna to help manage their meager finances so Hitler can just focus on his art.
Wow. Talk about a support system. That's incredible. It makes you think, doesn't it? How often do we underestimate the power of a good support system? Having someone, just one person who truly believes in you, especially during those make or break moments, it can make all the difference.
Absolutely. It's like that saying, it takes a village, or in Hitler's case, at least, a very dedicated friend and sister. And with their encouragement, he musters the courage to reapply to the academy.
That takes guts. After that kind of rejection, I mean, to put yourself out there again, that's incredible.
Right. And he's not just fueled by their support either. He has this incredibly vivid dream.
A dream. Tell me more about this dream.
So in this dream, his deceased mother, Clara, she appears to him and she urges him to try again. And she tells him, "It is your brush that will paint the canvas of your life." Talk about motivation, right? Motivation from beyond the grave.
Wow, that's powerful. It's like Koschinski is tapping into this deep-seated need for approval, for validation that we all carry with us, even from those we've lost.
It adds this whole other layer to the idea of art as a form of therapy. Don't you think? It's not just about, technical skill. It's about processing experiences, grappling with emotions, even connecting with those we've lost.
It's a powerful reminder, that's for sure. Art is this bridge between our inner and outer worlds, a way to make sense of the chaos, to find meaning in the midst of suffering.
So armed with renewed determination, right, and this support system firmly in place, Hitler faces those daunting entrance exams once more. But this time, there's a glimmer of something different on the horizon.
Something different. Do tell. What is this glimmer of hope on the horizon?
Well, let's just say a chance encounter that will change everything. So we've got Hitler at this crossroads, right? He's pouring his heart into his art, fueled by Kubitschek's unwavering belief in that haunting dream of his mother. But this time, it's not just about proving himself to the academy. It's about something more.
He's carrying the weight of his past failures, absolutely, but also this glimmer of hope, this belief that things might actually be different this time. And that's where this chance encounter you mentioned comes in, right?
Right. He crosses paths with Victor Zuckerkandl, a prominent art patron in Vienna. Now, in reality, their paths, they never actually crossed. But in Koschinski's version, this meeting becomes pivotal.
What's striking to me is that Zuckerkandl, he isn't just some, passive patron. He sees something in Hitler's work, something deeper, a raw talent, that goes beyond just technical skill. He becomes a mentor, really, opening doors to a world Hitler could only have dreamed of.
It makes you think about the ripple effects, of those seemingly small acts, those acts of mentorship, of recognizing someone's potential and guiding them towards it. Who knows, right? Who knows what might have happened if the real Hitler had crossed paths with someone like Zuckerkandl.
The power of a mentor, someone who believes in you when you don't even believe in yourself.
Exactly. Imagine being a struggling artist and suddenly someone's buying your work, introducing you to all the right people.
It highlights this idea that maybe the real Hitler, he was drawn to those extremist groups because they offered him a sense of belonging, a sense of purpose that he wasn't finding elsewhere.
It's like they gave him that stage he craved, but instead of an easel, it was
a podium and a microphone and a captive audience.
It makes you think about your own life, you know? How different would any of us be if it weren't for the people who supported us, who challenged us?
Precisely. It's all connected. It's a tantalizing what if, isn't it? And it adds another layer of complexity to this whole alternate timeline. The fact that Zuckerkandl is Jewish, a figure who in reality would have been a target of Hitler's hate. It adds a whole other dimension to their relationship.
Yeah, it makes you question, you know, how deeply ingrained those prejudices were, whether they were inevitable or if things could have played out differently. But of course, this is all happening against the backdrop of a world on the brink of war. And as we know, even the most promising individual journeys can be swept up in the tide of history.
And that's where the book takes another interesting turn. World War I erupts.
Yeah. World War I. Even in this alternate timeline, there's no escaping that.
Right. Some things are just bigger than all of us. But the book doesn't shy away from the fact that the real Hitler, he twisted his war experience into something dark. He glorified the violence.
It's chilling. But in this version, Hitler's still wounded. Same injury as in real life, shrapnel to the groin, if you can believe it. He even ends up in a psychiatric ward.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Instead of radicalizing him, the war, it kind of has the opposite effect.
Trauma can do that, can it?
Yeah.
Make you reject the very thing that caused it.
That's right. He's seeing the devastation firsthand.
He's caught in the maelstrom. He witnesses firsthand the horrors of the front lines.
Yeah.
An experience that leaves a deep psychological scar.
And it's in a military hospital recovering from an injury that he has another encounter that shapes his artistic path. That someone is Eugen Roth.
A poet, right? He was a real person.
Yep. And a World War I veteran, too. In the book, he ends up in the same psychiatric ward as Hitler. It's like, talk about a chance encounter.
Absolutely.
A fellow patient who, in reality, never crossed paths with Hitler, but who becomes a key figure in this reimagined history.
Roth, the poet, he uses his art to cope with the trauma of war.
Yeah.
And he encourages Hitler to do the same. It's not about, creating masterpieces, he insists, but about finding solace in the act of creation itself.
It's a powerful reminder of art's therapeutic potential, isn't it? The idea that even in the darkest of times, even amidst unimaginable suffering, art can be a way to process, to heal, to find some semblance of meaning. It really makes you think about how we deal with our own struggles, right? Do we bottle them up or find a healthy way to let them out?
Absolutely. And that's exactly what happens for Hitler in this alternate timeline. Through art, he begins to grapple with the horrors he's witnessed, the grief, the disillusionment. His work, it takes on this new depth, this raw honesty that reflects not just his talent, but also the weight of his experiences.
He starts incorporating anti-war themes into his paintings, right? His art becoming a vehicle for advocating for peace, for understanding. It's a far cry from the propaganda machine we associate with the real Hitler.
It really is. It makes you wonder about the transformative power of channeling even the most painful experiences into something creative. What if instead of fueling hatred and division, art had become this force for healing, for empathy in Hitler's life? That's the question Koschinski seems to be grappling with.
And that exploration continues after the war, right? Hitler, he moves to Berlin, drawn to its vibrant art scene, and he thrives in this environment. He meets other artists, exhibits his work, his name becoming increasingly recognized, but not for the reasons we know.
Not at all. In this reality, he's not using art to seize power or spread hate. Instead, his work becomes a way to connect with others, to build bridges of understanding in a society still reeling from the war's devastation.
And it's in Berlin that he meets Lotte Laserstein, another rising star in the art world. Now, Laserstein, she was a a real person, a talented artist who thankfully never crossed paths with Hitler in reality. But in the book, their fictional partnership, it becomes this beautiful example of art's potential to inspire social change.
Imagine that. Hitler, not as a dictator, but as a collaborative artist,
Yeah.
working alongside Laserstein, their shared passion for art, fueling a shared commitment to a more just and compassionate world.
It's a stark contrast to the reality we know, and it makes you think, could art have been the key to unlocking a different path, not just for Hitler, but for the world. It's a question that lingers long after you finish the book.
Ultimately, that's the power of this kind of alternate history, right? It allows us to explore these what ifs, these tantalizing possibilities that challenge our understanding of the past, and maybe even offer a glimmer of hope for the future. Even if it's just a fictional exploration, it forces us to confront the complexities of human nature, the weight of circumstance, and the enduring power of choice.
It's a reminder that history isn't set in stone.
And maybe that's the point. It's a million choices, big and small, all weaving together to create, well, everything.
So maybe the real question isn't, what if Hitler chose art instead of politics? But what choices are we making today that will shape the world of tomorrow?
Exactly. What impact do we want to have? What will our legacy be?
Maybe, just maybe, art can be a catalyst for those different endings, a force for empathy, for understanding in a world that often seems to have lost its way.
A powerful thought to leave us with. I think that's a good place to wrap up for today.
Indeed. Until next time.